At this point in the season, I thought I'd seen it all with Clayton and Gino. But even a whole season of watching Clayton's social awkwardness at dinners and what feels like an eternity of watching Gino fight with Jasmine, I was still completely unprepared for what went down last episode. But first, a little bit of context. Clayton and Anali have been having some problems recently that are not related to the bedroom this time, and instead have to do with her dad. Specifically, the fact that despite them being together for 2.5 years now, Anali's dad doesn't know anything about their relationship. This has been a point of contention between the two of them for their entire relationship, and it came to a head 2 weeks ago when Clayton tried again to bring it up with Anali. The two of them are in San Diego, they're on vacation, Clayton even grilled up some juicy steaks on the grill for her, and now that both she and the steaks are buttered up, he tries broaching the topic again. And it goes poorly immediately, because Clayton can't get 5 words in before Anali starts shooting him the sharpest daggers I've ever seen.
La cosa con tu papá, como...
Yeah, she does not want to talk about it. Clayton, being able to read the room for once, picks up on that, but that's kind of part of the problem for him. Because although they have this issue where he would like her dad to know about the relationship and, feel like they're just being honest about it, Anali says, well, my dad's really protective, I'll tell him eventually, okay? I'll get to it, okay? Just lay off.
Pero ya sabes que lo voy a hacer.
Which is a fine strategy that works in the short term, I guess, but it's been 2.5 years, and Clayton wants some answers. She says, oh, we've already talked about this like 1,000 times. I thought we were on the same page. Why do we need to keep talking about it? Clayton says, yeah, we've talked about it, but it's been 2.5 years. You keep saying you're going to tell him and then you don't tell him. So what are you waiting for? What's going on? Which makes Anali low-key threaten him and say, really? Do you really want to ruin my dinner?
¿Quieres arruinar mi cena en serio?
But Clayton pushes on and says, we're about to get married. He's got to know eventually. It's already been a couple years, and what are we going to do? Wait a few more years? And what if his health declines? We should tell him before anything bad happens. And at this point, Anali is so done and frustrated with this conversation that she hears that and then accuses Clayton of wishing her father would unalive.
¿Le estás deseando la muerte?
And at this point, there's no salvaging this conversation. Clayton tries talking about it a little bit longer, but she's done. She just gets up, walks away, and ends up crying. Yeah, I think Clayton was right when he's picking up that something else must be going on here. Why are you so against it?
I have no idea why Anali is crying about this. Well, it makes me wonder if there's something else going on. Like, is she in danger? Like, why is she so worried about it that she's crying? Like, she seems scared.
It seems like something is there, but that's for another video. So that's the Clayton and Anali context that brings us up to this episode where we see the two of them try to reconcile after this fight and where I see something truly amazing happen. Anali is done crying, but she's still very upset. And although Clayton is trying to take care of her and say, hey, I just want to make sure you're okay, what can I do? Can you explain something to me? Can we talk about it? In response, Anali is stonewalling him. She's not looking at him, she won't respond to him.
Mírame. Solo estoy preguntándote.
Estoy harta, Clayton.
And finally says, I'm giving up because you just don't understand me. I told you I want to talk about it. You keep insisting we talk about it. You don't understand me. If this is what it's going to be like, I'd rather just break up. That's the degree of overwhelm that she's feeling right now.
I cannot imagine that it's that big of a deal to throw away over 2 years of a relationship. It's been over 2 years. Just tell your parents you're in a relationship. I don't know how else to say it.
Now, if you're in Clayton's position right now, you kind of have two options. You could either try to talk about it and resolve the problem, or you could just say, okay, you're done talking about it, we're not going to talk about it again. And while certainly there are times when living to fight another day and just letting it go can be the right option, I'm guessing Clayton feels like if he takes that option, then they haven't solved this problem. It's just going to come up again later. She's still not going to want to talk about it then. And then they're back at square one and have to fight about it again another time. So he chooses path number one. He's going to try to talk about it, but he does it in a different way. Because instead of focusing on her behavior, you need to do this, I don't get why you're not doing this, you need to change, you, which we know she interprets as he doesn't understand me, he's not listening to me, I don't feel respected. Instead, he talks about how he feels and chooses to be vulnerable. He tells her that the reason this is extra hard for him is because he's had partners in the past that also hid him from their social media, and those people ended up cheating on him. So now, when Anali hides their relationship on social media because she's afraid of her dad finding out, it triggers those old feelings of fear and pain in Clayton.
El sentimiento de estar escondido para mí es más fuerte porque tenía un problema antes con relaciones. Nadie quiere publicarme, nadie quiere compartir nada de nosotros. Y
That was a great move by him and an incredibly healthy thing to do. Instead of focusing on her and everything she's doing wrong and everything she should change, he looked inside and was vulnerable and talked about his own feelings. And that's great. But what was even better to watch is you can see the exact moment it connected for Anali, and you can see the emotional impact it had on her.
un problema antes con relaciones. Nadie quiere publicarme, nadie quiere compartir nada de nosotros. Y
Where she was stone cold before, not receptive at all, not having any of it, once he starts talking about his own feelings, she perks up. Well, this isn't about me, this isn't a criticism, and this isn't a judgment on me. This is about the person I love. Well, okay, well, that's easier to listen to. And she even tells us in a one-on-one that she totally understands how Clayton's feeling, and says it's important for Clayton to know that her, Anali, is not his ex. Man, there's so many pronouns here. She says, I'm not his ex. I'm another person, so I don't want him to think that I'm like his ex. And now that I understand that he just doesn't want to be his, then, I can do that. I want to make him happy.
Soy otra persona, no soy su ex. Pero en este momento me doy cuenta de que publicar una foto para él es tan importante. Quiero hacerlo feliz.
And after the two of them connect a little bit, they reach a compromise. Anali doesn't have to deal with her dad right now, but if Clayton just wants to feel like he's not being hid from her partner, then she's okay with posting a picture of the two of them on her social media. And then she writes a beautiful caption about how words can't describe how she feels about him, and he's just so important to her, and it's the best thing ever, and it's really sweet.
Eres mi persona favorita para toda la vida.
And she's happy she posted it, she's smiling, and he's clearly really moved by it, and I think he's crying. If he's not crying, then I guess I clickbaited you all in the thumbnail, okay? I wasn't sure if he's crying. He's clearly emotional. But they end on a happy note and spend the rest of the episode being good together. And the surprisingly good vibes continue with Gino and Jasmine, of all people. The two of them have been in Miami for a little while, and it's been a great trip for them. They both feel like they're remembering all the good things about each other, what makes them so compatible to begin with, and they're just enjoying their time together. And after such a successful trip, Gino wants to show his romantic side. And the two of them walk along a trail of rose petals that Gino set out, up to a beautiful table with a beautiful view where he ultimately proposes again. And it was beautiful and honestly very sweet and awesome, and I love to see it. But before he proposed, Jasmine has this kind of speech where she says, I was always falling into a pattern of being attracted to the wrong guys. Really muscular, very attractive, cool, handsome guys. Nothing at all like you. Those were the guys I used to be into, hot, attractive men. But, they weren't good for me, so I've learned to not go for attractive men, and instead I'm with you. I know what she was going for with that, and Gino knows too. He's like, what that hot, big, muscular guy of your ex? I'm way better looking than him. Like, what do you mean?
Oh, gross! Really? Yeah, that's what I like in the past. You're both handsome.
Better looking. I mean, he's got wrinkles all over his eyes and.
It was pretty funny, but he was having a sense of humor about it. They understood. But she says that she's done dating all like the hot, muscular, conventionally attractive guys, and is now going with someone that they have a genuine connection with. Someone she loves and has a genuine connection with, and she's so appreciative of him and their relationship. It was really nice. And she promised she's going to keep working on herself and try to be less of a bee.
And I'm so bitchy all the time.
Yeah, you can be a real bitch, yeah.
And be more cooperative, and is even trying to be more open to having his family at the wedding, which has been a problem of the two of them before. And upon hearing that, Gino starts crying.
Sorry.
It's not immediately clear if these are good tears or bad tears. Jasmine's not sure if he's crying because he's just so overwhelmed with happiness and love, or if there's something wrong that he is not sure about. And Gino's, well, of course he doesn't know. He's kind of slow to warm up to figuring out the emotions thing. But eventually collects himself and says that it was when she said that she wanted to work harder on trying to be more friendly with the family and work on their relationship, that is what brought Gino over the edge in emotion. And it's this display of emotion from Gino that finally helps Jasmine understand how much pain he's been in around the family thing. She says she knew that this was a point of contention with them, and of course Gino would prefer to have his family at the wedding, but until now she didn't understand how big of a deal it was and how much pain it was causing Gino.
Babe, I didn't know that I was hurting you this bad.
Fighting with your family.
And now that she sees that pain, she's incredibly motivated to work on it. Says, of course I'll work on it. It's like, baby, I didn't know this was such a bad problem for you. Like, oh, come here, let me take care of you. And totally takes care of Gino.
You be willing to try.
Baby, of course I will. I will try. Baby, come here. Baby, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And it was a really sweet moment for them.
Conmigo. See?
And that was the last scene of the episode with the two of them in it. They definitely did not argue later about her stupid ex-boyfriend and her ass implants. I wanted to make this video and showcase these two scenes because after a whole season of stupid fights and unlikable couples and just terrible miscommunications across the board, I felt like nothing healed my soul more than watching two men cry. That sounded better in my head. I just love watching people being emotionally vulnerable, okay? It's just so nice and refreshing to see people have that courage and make that leap with their partner. And it was so great to see that in both cases, both of their partners immediately had compassion for them. Anali became open-minded and wanted to take care of him and tried to see his side, and Jasmine almost was crying too. She finally understood how Gino felt. In both cases, there was a problem, you be vulnerable, and it allows your partner to take care of you. And that's awesome to see. So that's all I got for today's video. Let me know what you thought about these couples in the comments down below. And I know that just because these couples had these good scenes, I know that doesn't solve all of their problems. I know they have other problems, but at least just seeing this was very nice. And I hope you enjoyed this bonus video this week. I am trying to start doing 2 videos a week now that I'm a lot faster in the editing process. So I don't want to say that I'm doing 2 videos every week now, but that is the goal, and I'm glad that I could get this one out at least. I hope I get this out in time. And until next time, if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy my content, make sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, ring the bell for notifications, and every comment helps the algorithm. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.